Welcome everyone to the show. You're with Ray Smith and Sandra Johnson. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show on KVOI The Voice. Thanks for hanging around, everyone. We're back to the show. You're with Sandra and Raymond, and we are here with
Sherri and Gillette with Caring Transitions.
I'm looking right at her. I'm looking right at her, and it just went blank.
We have all been there.
Yeah, well, more frequently than we like to admit. So we were just talking about kind of the difference between, when you're looking at the value of an object and the emotional attachment and the emotional value that object has.
For sure.
Really, it doesn't always carry that same value when you're looking at what the family feels about it or today's market, the people that are shopping today.
For sure.
And so you were just starting to kind of compare those when we went to break.
Right. And where I was headed was if you are the adult child of someone who's getting ready to move, two things happen typically. First of all, you don't want to acknowledge that your parent is aging and they need a new situation. Or you are saying to your parent, you must move because.
Okay.
And when that is the circumstance, there's going to be power struggles all the way through that. And that's normal, and we know that. The interesting thing about having us come in and talk to a senior who's anticipating a move, we're going to be doing the same thing that adult children does, which is helping them make decisions, but it doesn't come with the baggage of an adult child. So we're able to more, pragmatically work through it with them, and they're fine to take input and suggestions, and they're okay with a firm hand. They may want to take more than they should, but we tell them all the time, the walls are not going to grow and the things are not going to shrink.
Right.
And so we can, we get through it with them. And because we've established trust early on, we tell them, we know that you love everything. You just can't take everything. So we need to take the things that make your life the most fabulous that it can be.
I'm going to share a thought with you and with our listeners because over the years, my solution to some of that has been to encourage, because I myself do this, I will take photographs of the things that are important to me or the kids' projects. I remember when my son made this paper mache javelina that was fabulous, but what am I going to do with a 14 to 16 inch paper mache javelina? So taking photographs, and photo books are so easy to produce now, as are things like note cards where you can use those photographs and give that item a new purpose and save the memory without saving the item.
For sure. We also talk to seniors about doing a reverse birthday, several birthdays in advance.
I love that.
So, it's your birthday, you invite all your friends over, and you start gifting them the pieces of your life that had significant meaning. So you've got a teapot that you love, or a sugar and creamer that you've loved. Giving that to a friend and giving it with the story of why it matters and this, how special it is a real gift, because it's the story that you're attached to. And if you can give that story along with the item to one of your friends who still loves all that stuff, it's a really special way to start to make that transition in your head long before you're ready to make the physical transition.
Sherri,
I love that idea.
Sherri, when you're meeting the first person for the first time, and let's say a agent refers you, and your first conversation, who are the people that you're meeting for the first time? Are you meeting the owner of the house and their parents and their kids? You're trying to meet everybody at once, or what is your process for that?
Typically, it's the senior that calls us, and we're meeting with them.
Okay.
And they're signing their own contract.
Okay.
So it's most often that senior taking control of their life, which is perfect.
Right.
And making decisions for themselves. There are times when someone has passed and we are now working with a realtor and the adult children. And that works fine too. So in that case, we'd be working with this person who is the trustee or the person who's in the executor or whoever's been placed in charge. We obviously can't have multiple decision makers because someone has to sign a contract and we have to have a single point of contact, but that's super easy.
How often do you run into a senior who may be dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's and you're concerned about whether or not they have the right to make those decisions?
Yeah, happens. First of all, cruelest disease ever. My mom suffered from it, so I know how devastating it can be. When we pick that up, we still treat them with great respect. And typically, we'll say, is there anyone else as part of your family that we can share this information with? We don't have them sign anything. If there's not, then we go back to the realtor and or both. But typically involve a realtor because a realtor is going to have to get a contract signed too. And we want to make sure that we understand that we're all on the same page and talking to the same person so that we're getting the signatures that we need to move forward without taking advantage, which we would never do, of a vulnerable senior.
And it's very complicated, I think, because my dad went through that as well. And, you know, there's a point where you see signs, but that person probably is still in a place where they're able to make many decisions for themselves. But they may forget to include family members. So I think that's just a really important piece and something we as agents do have to consider as well when you're dealing with someone and you get a feeling that maybe it's in question. You really want to move slowly and make sure that you're involving as much and not more than what you need to. It can be a tough place to be in.
For sure. And even when we don't suspect any cognitive decline, we always ask them, is there anyone in your family that you'd like us just to keep in the loop? And we do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, some people with cognitive decline don't present as cognitive decline. They present themselves very well. But then you start to see that they're calling you and asking the same questions that you've answered. And then it's clear to you that there's something there. And so if we have that number up front, it's a son, it's a daughter, it's a neighbor, it's a, we then have a second point of contact who can help reinforce some of the messaging and be the person that we can rely on for ensuring that we're not taking advantage of someone who's having a hard time retaining.
Kind of an advocate for that person as well. And I think that is good for you.
For sure.
Because you always want to not have the appearance of ever putting someone in a position that they shouldn't be in. So
oh, goodness, no. And, it's sad enough what they're going through without having them feel that they've been taken advantage of or that their family feels you have. So we tread really lightly there.
We truly like the way your process is a cradle to grave thing that you take from beginning to end. And also when we talk about the end, there's times where there's items that you just can't use. So I want to talk about on the next option. What are some of those options that they have as far as auctions and your storage area and things like that, what they can do with those items, putting up for sale and things like that?
For sure.
We're talking with Sherri. We're talking with Sherri Gillette, owner of Caring Transitions. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show with Ray Smith and Sandra Johnson. We'll be back on the other side to talk a little bit more about Caring Transition, a great, great thing we have in Tucson.